We are live, everyone. And now, our next student, Miss Zaria. This is
Hello.
so, Zaria is, oh my God, if you think the last one and all of our other students were good, I mean, it just keeps getting better. And Zaria, the blueprint for youth of the future, okay? We're
hmm
going to spend 5 minutes a little bit about your journey, okay?
hmm
And the journey you've had so other students and other youth can hear that. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
And then we go into kind of like what you see that would be great for the future, okay?
All right.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you some questions of some things I already know because I know you only have like 20 minutes with us before we go to the next one, okay? Zaria, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay. And you've had a fulfilling time with your life, haven't you?
I would say so, yes.
You know, the young woman that I know sitting before me, you haven't just been this way. I remember you as a little girl. You would say, I'm going to do X, and X would happen. One of the earliest stories I remember is of your mom and your dad telling me that you were very young and you went to your father and said, Dad, tell me what you wanted to be when you grow up. And he started telling you, and you told him, Whoa, whoa, I'm just a child. I just asked for a little bit, not the whole thing. Matter of fact, that's a little bit too much for me. I think I'm going to go watch TV. And I remember your father saying to me, I just had a 2 year old come and tell me, whoa, whoa, that's enough. It's too much for her at this stage of her life. That's literally what you said at 2 years old. And then you've gone on, and I want to ask you, what has it been innately in you that you've always said, I'm going to do X? And I'm not saying it's been perfect, but you said you're going to do X, and then X happened. How were you able to procure that for yourself? What was it inside of you that just always fulfilled on most of the things you wanted to do, Zaria?
That's a good question. I think a big part of that is just being blessed with an amazing support system from family, friends, bosses, people who have either have insight into where my goals may take me, or who are just um, committed to helping me get there and providing me with opportunities, or even connections or other people that I can talk to get a better sense of how to get from A to B, things like that. So I think having a lot of that support system and a lot of options and things like that have definitely helped me to do that. Yeah.
Little bit of technical difficulty there. You know, one of the things I remember you saying, I remember you saying you went to London, okay? And I remember you on the plane saying, you know what? I'm going to be back here. And I'm just looking at you like, how are you going to get back here? No, no, I'm going to be back here and I'm going to travel and I'm going to do the things I wanted to do. And I just kind of looked at you and I remember you saying, oh, I'm going to go to China too. And I just kind of looked at you again. I'm like, she's 8 years old. But then I knew the young woman that you were. And I knew that even at 8 years old, you said you're going to do certain things and you're going to do it. Okay. Would you go on to share with everyone where you have gone between 7 years old and 21?
So yes, I've had a lot of opportunities to be abroad. Um, so like you were saying, on that trip, we went to Europe, and then other family vacations, going back to Europe, which was a treat. Going to Jamaica with my family. That's where my mother's side of the family's from. In high school, I got the opportunity to go to China, and then studying abroad recently last year, or I guess it was this year still. Wow, 2020 has been a long year. I got the opportunity to go to Argentina and then Brazil. Yeah.
And, in those travels, I want you to tell them, I remember you coming and your mother or father sharing with me, well, you said, I'm going to need X amount of money to go to China. This is what I'm going to need. This is what I'm preparing for. That's it. Okay? And we all kind of looked at you like, yeah, okay. And then it happened. And you prepared yourself for it. What languages did you learn and what did you start writing in when you went to, right before China?
So it was more of a crash course. I would not say I was writing in Chinese because that would be a completely overstatement of what I was doing. It was really awesome though, because at the time we had the woman who had made the exchange possible. She was actually raised in Taiwan, so she knew some Mandarin, and she got someone who would come in and teach us some basic phrases. Looking back, though, I regret not being able to attend more of those sessions just because a lot of them conflicted with like being in band, so I couldn't attend many. But like I definitely, after being in that country and not being able to read signs or not being able to communicate as well as I would have liked, I definitely was like, oh darn, I wish I'd went to more of those. But it was cool, definitely. Now, if you asked me something in Chinese, I would have like no clue because it's been so long. I definitely did not keep up with those skills, but it was really cool, awesome getting to learn and communicate in a different way than usual. Yeah.
With that said, okay, you also have been teaching at the State Department, okay, recently. And I believe you still are an intern there, am I correct?
Yes.
Would you tell us what you do at the State Department as an intern?
Yeah. So I'm really, this is my second stint with the Virtual Student Federal Service. And it's been really, really awesome. I've especially loved this time getting paired up with my amazing mentor, who's like a consulate director in Karachi, Pakistan. So there I work with, it's called like Access, which is a program that takes a lot of lower income Pakistani students or Pakistani students who may not have as many educational opportunities. And they put them in classes, they pair them with these amazing teachers, and they get to go on all these cool field trips and things like this. And then I pop in once or twice a week with different groups and do different sessions. So 1 week we might be talking about storytelling. My latest session, we talked about diversity and inclusion. But it's been really a great experience, not only getting to meet with my mentor frequently and him bringing in speakers to discuss their experience doing working in the State Department, which I hope to do later in life, but also working with the students. They're so sweet and just grateful, and they're so knowledgeable and profound, and it's really great being surrounded by them and seeing how meaningful my work has been and getting to interact with them, but also learning a lot more about Pakistan. It's not really a country that like I'm often taught about. I was ever really, taught about in high school, and in my college studies, I've definitely had more of a concentration in Latin America. So this was something that was like definitely more out of my wheelhouse. And so I've also appreciated that. Mm-hmm.
Now that we've gotten all that background, and the reason why I wanted people to understand, because again, the students today are going for what they want in their life. And that doesn't mean that it's been very easy, okay? Zariah, from what you've seen in the different countries that you've seen and the youth that you've seen, if someone put in front of you right now a blueprint and say, Zariah, everything that you say for youth that could support youth in their lives moving forward, okay? No matter what economic level, and especially, youth who are in underserved areas, okay? What would you actually say that you'd want to see if you knew your words were going to be put into reality? Because they are. This is not just something we're just asking thoughts, willy nilly. we are looking to put the thoughts of every student that has been on this program today in a blueprint document with the three peacemakers, Mesvin, David, and Sherry, the Creators 2030, Miranda Clendenning, David Gershon, the Green Fest and so forth, and all the partners that are under the COM26V. And so I want to find out from you, what exactly would you put down? What would you know if you knew it was going to happen, and it was going to make the biggest difference from students from the time they're young in school all the way until they get out of college? Through your experiences.
Yeah. So I guess like first of all, having I was just listening to a lecture on this. I think having more paid leave time for parents in the U.S. would be really great because I think it contributes. From the start, you get to start building that support system I was talking about, and a lot of people are just even if they have access to leave without getting fired, a lot of them can't, go for use those full 12 weeks or anything like that because of economic constraints. So I think that, first of all, would be a great start for helping kids. Then moving on, a lot of schools are funded by property taxes. Unfortunately, that leaves a lot of students who are underserved, and the issue gets compounded as minority and low SES schools have less qualified teachers, less access to resources and things like that. So I think finding a better way to equalize school quality through funding, and maybe not just through property taxes, would be awesome as well. Giving more kids an opportunity to be, we call it like tracking, which basically means that typically low SES and minority students will have less chances to get put in higher level courses like AP, things like that, even if they're capable, just because of how the system works, having structural inequalities. So I think mitigating those issues as well will allow those students to have more access to educational opportunities. And also more, like when you look at those higher track programs, you also see like those are typically the students who get to go on field trips and get to meet professionals in their fields and things like that. So I think building those networks by offering like better quality and putting those students into higher tracking would also help. I would love to see more, funding and opportunities for students like I had to travel abroad and do a cultural exchange or an educational exchange, even if it's short term. I know like economics is a big constraint to that. And just like more, honestly, like more information, because there are a lot of programs out there for youth, for college students that will, pay for, or at least subsidize them to go to other places to get to learn or to learn from professionals within their field. But a lot of times that information is just not known. Even me, a university student, I receive, lots of emails every day about all these different opportunities. And I can't tell you the amount of times I've looked at something and either I have like aged out of the program and I say, darn, I wish I would have known about that earlier. There's just so much out there, but it can be hard to find, especially if like, you've got a lot of other life circumstances and, it can't necessarily be your big priority or anything like that. So I think that would also be amazing. I'd also love to see more of an emphasis on life skills over standardized testing, just because, I just recently had an event put together to teach financial literacy to college students because, that's not something that it's a life skill. And America is a country that runs on debt. But unfortunately, a lot of people aren't taught how to do those things. And I think that a lack of financial literacy is also something that keeps makes disadvantaged students disadvantaged adults. So those are probably at least a couple of things I would like to see. Mm-hmm.
You said something that very, very powerful. Very powerful. Disadvantaged student. Can you say that thing again? What did you just say? Disadvantaged student. Please say that.
Become disadvantaged adults.
So disadvantaged students make disadvantaged adults. Very powerful. I mean, I want to take that phrase and literally coin it. Okay. With regards to climate, with regards to food, organic fruits and vegetables readily available to everyone, health and well-being, or our climate and so forth. Zari, you've been traveling a lot. How do you think people don't realize climate is connected to underserved areas? Okay. Can you shed a little light about that of your knowledge and something that, even if you think it's not a big deal, could be a big deal and included in your part of the blueprint?
So I can't really comment abroad. I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to be in one spot long enough, unfortunately, to see how climate affects that area. But as far as the U.S., there's definitely tons of studies done about environmental discrimination. So low SES and minority people are more likely to have things like, Superfunds, landfills, water pollution in their neighborhoods and things like that. So obviously things like climate change and though all those environmental issues are going to disproportionately affect those communities.
And if you could do something about it, if you could put something in, a declaration, even though it's studies and you're talking about the studies, what would you like to see in a declaration, in your words, that would support or empower that situation?
So I think two things. One being, so it's commonly called NIMBY, not my backyard. So typically people, more affluent people are less likely to have these things located in their neighborhoods just because they have more political clout. And typically, these sort of things follow the path of least resistance, which means ending up in low income and minority neighborhoods. So seeing a more concerted effort for local municipalities and planning boards to have an equality in where these things are located would be nice. And the second thing I would say is do it right the first time. There's a lot of like infrastructure things. We saw this in New Orleans. Saw this in the water pollution in it's like Escape Flint, Michigan. A lot of times money were given to these projects to fix infrastructure issues and they were just band-aided instead of actually fixing the source of the problem. And it led to, issues later down in the line where, so many people being affected by Katrina, so many people being affected by the Flint, Michigan issue, which is still not resolved years later, even though it's out of the media cycle. And so doing it right the first time would also be nice. Being able to hold, the people in charge of that accountable for the work they've done. And it's definitely less expensive if you do it right the first time than, putting a Band-Aid on it and then having to fix the problem again a couple years down the line. But this time you have collateral and, whole people dying and getting sick. Mm-hmm.
My last question to you, Zaria. We have 2 minutes. What do you want for the world in your heart?
Mm.
Literally, you see where this world is, and personally, you've experienced it. You've seen it in older, you've seen it in younger, and it doesn't mean that you have to have all the all world experience. But coming from your heart, what would you put in the blueprint document for youth that you really think could empower them and really comes from your heart that you've either experienced or seen that has broke your heart?
As far as what I want for the world, I guess maybe like a more, more of an emphasis on seeking to listen first and Yeah, a willingness to overcome differences. I think that will be something great. And as far as youth, and understanding that you can really learn from anywhere and anyone, and trying to take those experiences with people, and empowering yourself and others. Yeah.
So much. Your conversation has been illuminating. And I would really like you to leave with those words that you said. I mean, I could say them, but when I asked you that, I said I could coin the phrase. No,
Yeah.
because I want you to understand sometimes people don't get the empowering context as
Mm,
well as the empowering resolve and action around it. Okay?
mm.
Please share those last words so that we can leave off of that.
Yes, yes. So disadvantaged students become disadvantaged adults.
Thank you so much for your time. And if you just
Thank
wait
you.
for 1 second, being in the background, that would be great.